For more on the state of stimulus talks in Washington, let's bring in Senator Kevin Cramer of North Dakota. He is a member of the Budget Committee. And, Senator, it's good to see you this morning.
Good to be with you, Becky. Thank you.
So let's run this through. Right now, the Senate is looking at about a $1 trillion plan. The president would like to see something that's closer to $1.3 trillion. And then the House is looking for something that's between $2.3 and $3 trillion, depending on how this comes up. There is talk that the Senate will put forth a new proposal next week. What can you tell us about what you're hearing on that front?
Sure. I think we're very close to having an agreement, at least among Republicans in the Senate, that would be you hear the term skinny a lot. It's certainly a much more modest bill than the others that you've been talking about, certainly than what the Speaker is talking about, that focuses more on the needs as opposed to just a broad stimulus. So we're going to focus on education, of course, making sure that as students are going back to school now, that they're in a safe environment, and that remove some of the anxiety around that, focusing on extending the Paycheck Protection Program for small businesses, but again, focusing that down to maybe even a little smaller target, and some demonstration of loss of revenue, not just simply across the board. Certainly focus on the forgiveness aspect of the first wave of PPP, because as we know, those were pretty small loans by and large, and a lot of small businesses that don't need an extra couple $1,000s of compliance costs on the forgiveness side of it. So there's a streamlined version of that in all of that. And of course, we need to make sure that the pandemic itself has enough, the fight against the pandemic, I should probably say, it has enough resources to make sure that we're getting to that end, which is the ultimate stimulus, and that is wiping out this disease and letting our economy go back to a rocket ship.
Hey, Senator, from what I've heard, that skinnier package is something closer to $500 billion. Normally, when you're in negotiations with sides, the side that's at the bottom comes up a little, the side that's at the top comes down a little. You guys are taking the floor and cutting it in half, and you're saying that is something that you think you might get consensus among Republicans. That sounds to me like we are a lot further away from getting any sort of a deal done between Democrats and Republicans.
Well, it's a great point. You're exactly right, Becky. I mean, what we're doing right now is trying to find our position, if you will, the polar position we start with, obviously realizing that in a negotiation and in a compromise situation, you're probably going to lose some Republicans on one side and some Democrats on the other side, and the middle is going to hopefully be big enough to pass something that's meaningful and that matters to people. But remembering there are also there's some unspent dollars, and that's where Republicans have been focusing a lot lately. There are some unspent dollars from the CARES Act, probably about $350 billion, and that's not just pocket change. So we're trying to focus on that first, repurposing existing appropriations so that they hit the targets and we don't drive up the debt and deficit any further. The other thing is there are some policy issues. I mean, we can stimulate the economy with all the liquidity in the world, but if the vultures disguised as trial lawyers are hovering over every hospital, every clinic, every school, and every small business waiting to pounce, we also have to have, I believe, some liability reform.